Alright, it's sat overnight and the neat's foot oil soaked in as much as the neat's foot oil is going to soak in. In fact, let me give it a little bit of a buff here. That gets the excess neat's foot oil off. Actually, there shouldn't be any excess neat's foot oil on the surface. They're pretty much just all soaked in. And it also gets any excess dye off of it, which I feel is necessary to get a good final finish on it. And for the final finish, the final top coat, I'm going to use Tan Kote. And the way I'm going to do that is put some on with the dauber and wipe it off. Now, I prefer to use a dauber rather than just putting some on a paper towel and wiping it on, because I want to make sure that I get lots down in these stitch lines. That way, I know that the stitch lines are well protected. And well, that's why I put this stuff on the finished product to begin with, is to provide a layer of protection so it doesn't get a lot of wear in it. Now, I just spread it on, make sure it gets into all the little details and gets into that stitch line. And then I'll take a paper towel and wipe off the excess. Now it's going to soak into the leather and provide a nice protective coat on top of the leather as well. I'll come back with a Q-tip and get inside there too. Just wipe some on, make sure to get it into all the details, get it into the stitch line. A little more there. Make sure to get it into all the stamping. And I'm also going to put it along the edges as well, because like I said in the other video, gum trag needs a top coat. Like when I did the molding, when I wet this to mold it, the gum trag softened a little bit, and I don't want that happening. So I'll put a coat of this over the gum trag as well, on the gum trag on the edges, and that'll help to protect those edges. Now I'm going to keep doing this, and we'll come back in a little bit. Okay, this stuff dries pretty quick, so you can handle it after just a few minutes. But still, I like to give it a day or two to get good and dry before it goes out, because it can be a bit tacky. But you can buff it out, get a little bit of shine on it. Gives the leather a nice finish. And also re-burnish those edges some before it gets all the way dry. And get that nice shiny edge back. That's what I mean. When I burnish edges, I'll burnish them, and then I'll burnish them some more, and then I'll burnish them more after that. But I feel that I get pretty good results, and I'm quite happy with the way my edges look. And honestly, let's see if I can find my holster. Nah, it's around here somewhere, but my old holster that I've been using for years, it's still held up rather well. Let me see if it's up here. No, I don't have it up there. I've gone and put it away. But just give these edges a little bit of a burnish. Well, it's still dry to the touch, but it's still a little bit pliable, I guess you could say. And as far as I'm concerned, well, imagine that, a cat here. As far as I'm concerned, that's the best time to do your burnishing and your buffing. You can still do it once it gets good and dry, but you don't quite get the same results. A little bit more buffing. And as it dries, it'll get a little bit lighter, although not much. This came out pretty nice. And there you go. Now, if I set this down on paper or something and leave it to dry, it could stick and tear up little bits of paper. Then you got to pick those off, and it's just messy. So what I do is I'll take my mallet, stick it in my clamp, and then let it dry like that. And once it's all dry and finished, we'll come back. See you then. Well, it's been drying for a little while, and that's it. I'm going to keep buffing it. Because I like to get that shine on it. Edges are all re-burnished and redone, and you know, the back side's also got a coat on it. Edge K-frame slides in, holds on, but does come out. The belt slots are for a 1 3/4 inch belt, and I am actually going to let this dry for another day or so. I'll probably give it a couple of days before we pack it up and send it on out. But that's it. And now it's on to the next project. Oh, by the way, I got my little holster, and that's my own personal everyday carry holster. You can see it's actually held up pretty well. I've been carrying it for a couple of years. The edges are still pretty good. So when I leave the house, that's what my snubby rides in. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to leave this up on here, give it another day or so to dry, and then off it goes.